And today on the program, on Timmy Joe Reviews Anything, we're going to look at my baby monitor. Something that's been in the background of a lot of videos, but I've never talked about specifically. We've got the Levana Ovia baby monitor here. And it's actually a pretty cool little piece of tech, considering it's, just a baby monitor. It's also kind of expensive, but we'll talk about that in just a second. So cue the intro, and I'll tell you all about it. So you can see him sleeping there, and I can actually switch right to this. There's him sleeping in his little bed, and as you can see, this little tablet-like viewfinder, it records video. It records still images as well. Now, not the greatest quality, but this is in night vision mode. It looks a heck of a lot nicer in daytime mode, which I will switch to now. What's great is it has a 4-way range of motion that you can remotely control, so if your little guy's moving around the bed too much, you can track him very easily. It's been a really great baby monitor. Couple of quirks. I don't find that the battery life's particularly good, considering it has like a pretty big, almost smartphone-esque battery in it, as you can see. It's a 1700 milliamp battery, and off the charger, this thing maybe gets 3 or 4 hours. That's not even with the video showing. That's with it just monitoring the whole time. So mixed results with battery, that's for sure. But what is cool is underneath that battery lies a micro SD card slot. And that SD card slot gives you access to all your pictures, so all of the images and stuff like that are recorded on the monitor itself. They're not recorded on the little egg-shaped camera. Now, you see we've mounted that camera on the wall, so it's kind of facing down into the crib, and that gives a full sweeping range of motion inside the crib. Whether or not you like the aesthetics of it hanging on the wall like that, it's up to you. But if you put it on a shelf or something like that, you are going to limit yourself in some way. We found the best way was to mount it on the wall. Now, how about we head over to my desk, and I'll get into some of the features inside the menu system. So, here she be. Now, in the main video there, I had some tape over this directional pad, which is really silly because I put that tape there so this little ring wouldn't illuminate. But if you go in the menu system here and you actually play with it a bit, you'll realize that there are different slots of illumination for that set of buttons. So it's fairly easy to find, and we don't really touch this in the middle of the night anyways, so let's leave it off. So I'll go over the options here. You can turn the lullaby on here. You can take a photo here, so you go into photo mode, and we'll snap a picture of him there. Oh yeah. So we have a mic which lets us talk.
You can also scare your child. Ah!
We have a directional in order to move around. And the motor is actually quite silent, so you don't have to worry about waking them up, moving it around. You can hear it a little bit, but it's not too bad. A home button and a enter button, as well as a directional pad. And if we get out of picture mode here, we should be able to turn up the volume. So what you're hearing there is he has a white noise machine that plays in his room. Going back into the menu, you record video here. All the playback options are there. You can have a battery signal when the battery is running low. It's terribly annoying, and I find it actually makes the battery drain even quicker, so we leave it off. You can change the zoom there. You can actually connect up to 4 different eggs with this, which is pretty neat. You can change how bright the LCD is. We leave it on the lowest one. And there's a few settings here. Format the SD card and whatnot. Now, I found that the range on this thing is actually really good. I've never really had it break out. It says it has a 700-foot range. This being an enclosed system, no one can tap into it, and you know, you turn it on and it's always going to work. There's no problems with IPs and stuff like that. So that, you know, it's a digital signal. It looks really good. So once he's up, I'll show you the egg. So if you want to hold on for a second, we'll jump to that. Oh, so what do I think of this Levana baby monitor? Well, it's actually a really awesome piece of technology that gives you a real window into your little guy or gal's sleep patterns, whether or not that's a good or bad thing. Like, of course it's good, you get to watch them and make sure that they're okay, but on the downside, it does provide an extra distraction when you're trying to get some sleep after, you know, they've been keeping you up for you know, a whole night or whatever. What does this thing cost? Well, it's $199 standalone, but we basically went with this thing because it had an extra monitor. And what this is a little sensor that you were supposed to clip on their diaper when, you know, they're an infant, and it monitors the diaphragm going up and down and makes sure that they are breathing to avoid SIDS or whatever. So we only managed to try it a handful of times before we totally kiboshed it. Interesting idea, but it had a really loud alarm, and one of its biggest problems is it didn't tie into this at all. It just sounded an alarm on the actual monitor, which in theory, you know, would maybe wake the baby up if they weren't breathing or something, but when it goes off by accident, it wakes the baby up, and it's a really loud, piercing sound. So throw it out the window. As for the monitor itself, you know, there are you know, over IP options and, you know, internet options and stuff like that these days. There are a lot of baby monitors, but when it comes down to it, this one's done really well because it has a really good range. You know, it works even if my internet or my router's off. You know, it doesn't give us a peek from the outside, but I've seen a lot of stories where people were tunneling into kids' baby monitors through the internet, and there's no way that can happen with this. So I give it a 4 out of 5. Timmy Joe reviews anything thumbs up. You know, it could have better battery life, and you know, some of the features are kind of convoluted and not well placed in the menu and stuff like that. That's why I'm giving it a 4 instead of a 5, but I'd really recommend it, honestly. What kind of baby monitor do you use? You know, maybe you don't even have a baby monitor and I've been boring you this whole time, but let me know what you think in the comments. I really do encourage you to subscribe. I do a video every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I really do like doing these videos, so hit the subscribe button and I will keep doing them. I thank you very much for watching, and this has been Timmy Joe for Timmy Joe Reviews Anything. Blah!